Well, hello my fellow car mullers. Welcome to another episode of Luka's Kits. Today we're going to take a look at a late 70s MPC kit of a drag car, the Burnout Bird, which depicts a funny car of that era. And these are pretty neat kits. I actually had always wanted one and kind of searched the swap meets for them until I finally found this one. I was happy to find this. I wanted more of a Camaro. I don't even know if they did a Camaro, but I know that they did a Dodge Omni and I believe a couple of different variations of the Firebird. I believe there was also like a Fox body Mustang, but I found this late 70s Trans Am funny car body. But this was my favorite era of funny cars. They still had the look of the stock cars, but were all stretched out and funny looking. But, I don't know, I just thought it was a neat era. The cars looked really wicked going down the track, and I had always wanted to get one of these kits and finally found this one. I want to say it was probably about 10 years ago, and I totally intend to build this. This was a very nice example, as we're going to see, because the box might be unwrapped, but the inside is still all sealed up, so we're going to kind of go through that. But let's start with taking a look at the cool box art. And I always loved MPC box art. You know, they did everything more of an artist rendering than a photograph. They always made them look really cool, very colorful. MPC always had really great box art, I always thought. And something else that was really neat about MPC is then they would show photographs of a built car on the side and all that you got with it. And that was pretty cool. They always had an actual photograph of the model built of its size, of what you were going to have, and you get an idea how big it was going to be, and you got a really good look at what it was going to look like sitting there and how the stance was. And this also really depicts of what I really loved about the funny cars in the late 70s, how they kind of got really flat, but they still kept the general shape of the car they were depicting, and the kind of the bulge, because they were so low in the front, the bulge that they had for the front tires. I just really aesthetically loved the looks of the funny cars in those days, so I was really pleased to get this kit. So now let's take a look inside. And we'll start out with the instructions. MPC's instructions were always pretty basic, but they always had great illustrations, and they were always easy to follow, especially in my early years of building. I didn't have too many problems with building an MPC model kit. Instructions very straightforward, starting with getting the engine together and putting the tires and wheels together onto the suspension. It was actually a very basic kit, as you could see. Real easy to put together, and I think you got a really good look when you were done. So as you can see, it is a steel sealed inside kit, and I don't want to open it up until I'm ready to build it, but I think we can get a good look. And most everything is in this bag, which again, this kit doesn't have a very high parts count, but it sure has some nice looking pieces. I mean, you can really see the engine. Look at the detail. If you want to have the valve covers off, you've got your rocker arm assembly there, and even if you took the heads off, so you could really do some neat stuff in a diorama type form of a pit, a funny car pit or something like that, and have the engine half assembled. This model kit gives you that option. That's pretty cool. But the detail is, again, low parts count and simple, but very good detail. It even comes with, if you want to display it as at the end of the track, with the shootout. I've never been a big fan of that, but it's cool that you have that. So let's take a look at the body here. I sure hope I'm not ruining the effect for you guys. I don't want to unbag it, but the body is really nice. I mean, that is super cool. Let's do some light adjustments so you can see. Don't get so much reflection off the bag, but you can get a good look at how the front end is with the headlights and everything. Totally shows that this is a late 70s Trans Am. Very good detail with your escape hatch and the tin work that goes around the opening for the blower. It actually has very good detail. From what I remember of these cars back in those days, it's pretty accurate. I think this is going to build into a really nice looking model. Now here's something that I think was really cool with how MPC did their funny cars. that if you remember a lot of the other companies that did their funny cars, the Revell kits and some of the monogram kits, the chassis was in separate pieces, but they got this all in pretty good one piece of the rail portion, and then there's a section that's for the roll cage that goes around the driver. But it's nice that this chassis is just one piece. That sure does make building this a lot easier. And again, it is just super, super detailed and super accurate from the way the cars were back then. I think you can get yourself a really, really nice looking funny car out of this. Now onto the chrome tree. Excellent chroming, excellent parts on the tree, a lot of great detail. There's your Hemi valve covers, your separate oil pan. I'm always a big fan of that, instead of having it molded to the two block halves where you have a split you got to deal with. And again, MPC fashion, they always had really nice super trick wheels. So I've always loved their drag wheels from these old kits, and even their Pro Stock series and all that, they would always have nice wheels. You've got yourself a blower hat that's in halves. That kind of, now you have that problem with the split, and you can't do any body work if you want to keep it chrome, or you have to dechrome it and then paint it. That's probably the only downfall in the entire chrome tree. Everything else is really, really super nice. You even have your steering linkage, more of the steering linkage, so you can get this model look really, really detailed just out of the box. Maybe some spark plug wires make it go a little farther with it, but yeah, they had to get everything in there because, again, a funny car having everything exposed once you lift that body, and you want to display it that way, you want to have all these parts look nice and accurate and good. And everything seems to be scaled real nice. Even like you have the brake lever, I think this is. I hope I'm correct. And even your steering, not really a steering wheel, but the butterfly type wheel. The stuff seems to be really close to scale, so it doesn't look all thick and clunky. Which sometimes you get that in a 25th scale model when they're trying to simulate a rod or something. Sometimes it's a little too thick. They seem to have gotten it pretty close back then. And it just comes with the windshield. Got your windshield. It's got your rivet detail around there. You could paint it if you're really steady with your hand. That just pops right into the body. I believe it goes in from the rear of the body. That would be the only glass that you would have. And then again, I've stated this before, MPC had some of my favorite drag slicks. I just love these drag slicks, and they were very workable. They had a nice raised letter. If you wanted to hand paint them, it was pretty easy to do so. Or it sands off. I've sanded them off myself many times off these tires, and you can still get a very good look. And then apply a decal. But I just like the size and shape and the squareness of these drag slicks. I've just always loved them. Used them in so many different type of drag models. The front runners, they're pretty decent front runners, but it's got a nice basic tread pattern. It's a simple tire, very basic of what was on funny cars, and even up into the 80s. It looks a lot like the tire that was in the funny cars. And lastly, I got real lucky. The decal sheet is in still very, very good condition for this kit. It's a basic decal sheet, not a lot of contingency decals. You got the headers, Jardine headers. I don't know if you can see it because it's in white, but it's a nice, they're kind of handwritten script they always did. It looks like Autolite and Pennzoil. Got to flip it around like that. Autolite and Pennzoil kind of looks like it's hand painted onto the body, which was pretty common still back in the late 70s. Krager, even MPC threw in their little deal, so you could throw that in there. The name of the car, Burnout Bird, and the graphics. And you've got some decals of like the painted on headlights and tail lights. Or actually, that's not the tail light. That is the front grille and blinker. So you've got everything to complete a very, very nice looking late 70s funny car. So that's about it for this kit. Again, a real basic kit, but pretty fun one. We'll show this body off again real quick. If you ever find one of these, I'm not sure what their going price is. I know their value has gone up a lot. When I picked this one up, there was a price tag on it. I believe I paid 25 bucks for it back in '07. I think I bought this at a swap meet in California. I don't see them very much at the swap meets, unfortunately. Again, I'd love to find another one. It took me a long time to find this. I'm not sure what they're going for on eBay, but sometimes they get pretty pricey. They're hard to find, especially in this kind of condition. But if you enjoy building funny cars and you got a little hankering like I always have to do a late 70s funny car, this is the kit line to get. Whether you get the other body styles or the Firebird. I even had thought about converting this into a Camaro, but being the kit that it is, I don't want to mess this body up. I'm probably going to just build it as a Firebird, because if I mess this thing up, it's going to be hard to replace. So that's it. That's another Luka's Kits. And this was one of the models that was voted on and picked by you guys. So I'll get to the other ones here sometime soon. But thanks for tuning in. And please be sure to check out all the links I have below in the description. I've got a link to my Teespring account so you can get t-shirts. I've got some decals and mugs now on there. I also have links to Families and Friends YouTubes. Please check them out. They do some good work too. Got Andy's Hobby headquarters down there. And I do have my Patreon. Thanks for my Patreons who support me. We'll be back with another video real soon. So keep gluing those fingers together and keep cutting that styrene, and we'll see you in the next video.